society as well as those who belong outside. From my point of view, the tasks awaiting us are heavy and formidable, and therefore it will be necessary that in issuing statements, all of us should be prudent and not make generalizations, sweeping speculations and innuendos without any evidence whatsoever. In view of some of the criticisms about the conduct of the elections and the canvassing, I think we are now in the process where it will be necessary to conduct serious, investigative, and fair, deliberate work. Accordingly, I announce that I have ordered the filing of all the cases against the violence that have been committed during the campaign and after the campaign. I refer principally, of course, to the Javier case, where there are now some suspects arrested. I've directed that the case be filed immediately with the prosecuting officer, and that is the fiscal in the province, directly. Accordingly, also, I've ordered that the killing of Governor Murillo of Surigao del Sur by allegedly somebody who belonged to Unido should also be filed. And the body of the late Mayor Padua of Goa, Camarines Sur, has not been buried. The charges should also be filed. And such cases like the killing of Mayor Duruelo of Pigcabayan, Cotabato del Norte, the allegation that priests armed some of the NPA in northern Cotabato should also be filed, because there are sworn statements that have been presented. In short, we should now move into the process of real, honest-to-goodness, fair, investigative work, and not speculative statements unilaterally made, indicating some biases, some prejudices, and possibly ignorance of the true facts. And so there is no time to waste. They cannot be met save by the full and unwavering support of our people. At this hour, I call on all our countrymen to come together once again. Let us put behind us the mutual hurts and disappointments of the hard-fought election and resolve to face our prospects as one nation. Of our adversaries of the recent campaign, who until now were engaged in demonstrations, I ask again for their help in restoring civility to our public life, so that the supreme challenges facing the nation can be surmounted. To all of those who supported our party and our candidacy in the elections, I say this victory belongs to you, and I accept it in your name. I believe this election has proved that Philippine democracy, despite its excesses and imperfections, and despite the efforts of some to stain it in the eyes of the world, is vigorous, vibrant. And now unfolding scene before us, we shall strive to ensure that our democratic institutions are strengthened and our freedoms protected from all those forces that threaten them. I also wish to announce that the entire cabinet has submitted its courtesy resignation. And I have in turn asked the cabinet to submit its report of annual performance of work, and also to now study the economic recovery program, on which by tomorrow or the day after, there should be some important decisions to be announced pertaining to the level of money supply, the maintenance or the level of the exchange rate, as well as the interest rates. I have asked the Prime Minister to brief the Cabinet and other economic advisors on this difficult and certainly heavy problems. I must tell our people, however, ahead of these decisions, that the times call for further sacrifice. And I ask that since our people have been engaged in this kind of sacrifice for the last 2 years, I must again appeal to them to continue helping our country and our people. The sacrifice is not over. The difficulties are not over. And this is why it is necessary we do away with all these tension-provoking quarrels, statements, which do not serve any end except to satisfy perhaps our respective egos and to comply with our cultural habit that you never concede defeat in whatever kind of a fight you are engaged in, whether political or physical. I also wish to announce that the Cabinet has organized, in the meantime, a working group that will conceptualize the Council of State to which we will invite the spectrum of political parties and representations in the country. The purpose of the Council of State, of course, is to try and to bring into one group, which will be the highest advisory body to the President, all those who have anything to suggest in the way of policies and implementation thereof. In addition to the resignation or courtesy resignation of the Cabinet, I've asked the Cabinet to determine up to what level we should ask the courtesy resignations, whether down to the level of the directors, although I have explicitly directed that we now study the either the elimination or complete reorganization of financial institutions in government, corporations that are engaged in what is principally private enterprise, to see how we can hasten the privatization of all these government corporations. And of course, upon my proclamation as the President-elect, General Ver has submitted his resignation and I have accepted it. In the meantime, the acting Chief of Staff will be Lieutenant General Ramos. I guess I'm ready for the question.
First question, Mr. President, will be asked by Mr. Vic Taniedo, the President of the Press Corps of Malacanang, with Times Journal.
First, Mr. President, may I congratulate you on your proclamation as a President-elect.
Thank you.
Now, sir, in your opening statement, you pledged to work for the speedy disposal of cases involving election terrorism. How would you propose to do this? Will you assign a special prosecutor, or will you ask the judiciary to assign certain regional courts to try this case?
No, we will go through the usual procedures so that There is no claim of handpicking the people who will conduct investigation. Now, in every province and city, as you know, there is what we call the provincial or the city fiscal, which is equivalent to the United States of the prosecuting attorney. And this fiscal is the one who conducts what we call the preliminary investigation. In this preliminary investigation, you are compelled to specify the charges and to establish what is known as a prima facie case. And this requires the presentation of evidence. We have, for instance, the allegations of fraud by the Bishops' Conference, which incidentally was approved by a minority group. There are 120 bishops and only 25 or 40 attended, and then some of them walked out when the resolution was approved. That does not change the fact that as President, I am in duty bound to enforce the Constitution and to execute the laws and do justice to every man. I intend to perform my duty as such. Whatever may be said, whatever may be the impression of anyone, we are going to prosecute anyone, whether belonging to the administration party or to the opposition, to the clergy or outside the clergy, ordinary citizens who have violated the law. And we intend also to prosecute if this allegation of civil disobedience continues. We intend to arrest and prosecute anybody who violates the law, including those who do not pay their taxes. We are going to attach their properties and sell them at public auction.
Mr. President, on the resignation of General Ver, is he going into private life definitely, or?
Well, he probably will, although he is ready to be a mere consultant, probably become a member of the Board of Generals as a simple civilian. But I have consultancy work. The Chief of Staff, acting Chief of Staff will be General Ramos, which however requires that he be now cleared of the charge of administrative negligence in the Escalante case. Incidentally, I have ordered that in the Escalante case, the cases now be filed and a proper investigation be conducted by an authorized person, authorized officer, which is the provincial fiscal.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Melinda Lu of Newsweek.
Mr. President, it appears that you're now doing some of the things that U.S. officials had hoped to see you do for many months, specifically the retirement of General Ver and some of the economic reforms that you've just mentioned. I think now, however, there's another problem that Washington is talking about. Earlier this morning, President Reagan made a statement, part of it of which said that the recent elections were marred by widespread fraud and violence perpetrated largely by the ruling party. It was so extreme that the election's credibility has been called into question within the Philippines and the United States. Do you have a reaction to this statement by President Reagan?
The only thing to do there is to have this fully investigated now by the proper authorities. On the question of General Ver, as you very well know, we have been stymied by the fact that General Ramos has been included in the charges by a minority group in the extra-legal investigating panel, which is not authorized by law to conduct a preliminary investigation prior to the filing of charges in court. It is my intention that we now proceed into the judicial processes provided by law, instead of engaging in these recriminations, exchange of charges, without any attempt to clarify exactly what is the evidence on all of this. And whoever is found to be well connected, and where we have a prima facie case, well, he has to go to court. He has to be brought to court.
If I might follow up, Given that the whole idea of this election was to prove the popular mandate for you, and given that now the credibility of the elections have been called into question, or has been called into question, what can you do to prove that you deserve to be president?
So why should I try and prove that when they have been proclaimed already? Why would you say that after the election of Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, he had to stand up there and prove that he was qualified to be Prime Minister?
As I recall...
No, it's only you. It's only you who think about all of this. Look, there are processes here which we must follow. Your story, for instance, of a civil war happening here in the Philippines is fabrication. It's untrue. It's false.
With due respect, Mr. President...
And yet you keep repeating it in your magazine.
I don't recall that we repeated that.
What I would like to do is that everybody be given a chance to prove the truth of these allegations. And whatever comes out of it, then you can judge. But how can you judge when you don't even know the evidence? How can anybody judge without knowing the evidence? They're talking about Mr. former Governor Javier being killed by this or that person. Now, what is the truth? Let's conduct an investigation. And if you're talking about what I should do, my duty is quite clear. I'm still President of the Republic of the Philippines, and I intend to enforce the Constitution, whatever anybody may say. I intend to convince everybody that the fraud or violence was committed by the opposition more than by the government. And we have the evidence to prove it. Well, one half of the electorate in Eastern Samar, which is KBL country, were not allowed to vote. The voters in some of the towns in Camarines Sur were not allowed to vote. And so, while you speak of my proving that I'm entitled to this mandate, is something which I think is improper, because what you should ask is, what is the evidence on which is based all of this misimpression? I give everybody the right to criticize and to say everything. I've gone through a smear campaign, a black propaganda campaign in which some of your magazines and newspapers participated, probably innocently, but I'm beginning to wonder if that is a proper judgment. But I merely appeal to each and every one of you to see to it that our conclusions be based on evidence. We will, of course, comply with all the requirements of law. And this is that no cases be filed except against those who are connected to any of the allegations. Vote buying. Do they have any evidence? Well, we have. We have certain sworn statements about vote buying. Violence. Well, we have evidence to show that many of our voters were eliminated from the voters list. They say that most of those eliminated by a transfer to other precincts were KBL. We will disprove that. We have evidence to indicate that many, including my nurse here in Malacanang, many of the KBL people were either deliberately or otherwise taken off the list and transferred to precincts, which they did not know at all. Those are samples of what I am saying. There is no need for anyone to prove his character, his entitlement to a mandate. What we need to do is obtain the evidence and let it be judged as such. No unilateral, self-serving evidence. My own statement, it does not help me. No, but the evidence will.
if I might follow up, I do await with interest the results of this investigation. With due respect, Mr. President, are you saying it's improper for President Reagan to say
I
that...
did not get that.
Do you believe it is improper of President Reagan to say that the credibility of this election has been called into question?
Everybody is entitled to say anything. I'm not saying improper, no. Probably the most that you can say is that has been wrongly informed. And I intend to see to it that the correct information reaches him and reaches everybody in the United States, abroad, Japan, and everywhere else.
Could I just ask one more question?
Sure.
Has General Ver also resigned from his post as head of NISA?
The
Head of NISA, National Intelligence Security Administration.
Well, he is resigning from, I suppose, all his military position, because as a part of a military position.
Thank you.
Mr. Bill Branigan of Washington Post.
Mr. President, a group of international observers and a group of U.S. congressmen, as well as the Catholic bishops of the Philippines, have all said that the election was marred by widespread fraud. Are they all wrong? And if so, how do you account for their conclusions?
Well, I did not hear that Senator Lugar has made any conclusions. I understand they're waiting for further reports, and that another group under Mr. Weinstein is being sent here. I was told by those who, oh yes, a letter, or rather a press release was issued by Cardinal Vidal to the effect that the allegation of fraud was not aimed at the government, it was aimed at all. Now, of course, you can interpret the Bishops' Conference in any way, but it unmasks the political bias and partisanship of some of the bishops, like Bishop Bacani and others. I should not have mentioned any names. But it confirms our evidence to the effect that they participated in the election, and that this is a violation of the Constitution and a violation of the election code.
If I could ask another question, when do you intend to meet with Presidential Envoy Philip Habib, and how do you interpret his mission here?
I've been requested to see him at 10 o'clock, and I have agreed to. I interpret his mission as precisely there being serious doubts as to the information reaching the President and some of the members of the decision-making groups in the United States, and that he being a very incisive and very much his own man, I think Ambassador Habib will probably bring to Washington, to the President, the best kind of information that he can obtain from both parties. He's going to talk to me, he's going to talk to the other side, he's going to talk to Nomfred, he's going to talk to Conmalek, I suppose. Senator Lugar, of course, did not bother to see me or see the KBL. He was always with Nomfred.
Mr. President, now as we speak, there is a large crowd at the Luneta which does not believe that you have legitimately won the presidency. What is your reaction to that?
Well, of course, you will probably announce that there are millions there. Our estimate is they have about 100,000. And certainly, if we wanted also to demonstrate with our own people in KBL wanted to do, we could have done so and brought in a bigger crowd. But what does it serve? What is the purpose for it? there will be violence if we had a demonstration. As has happened in the Batasan Pambansa, if you will remember. There have been scuffles there, fisticuffs, and perhaps even knifing and hitting oneself with nightsticks and all that. They asked to meet with my representative, the leaders of the opposition, headed by Mr. Jose Cojuangco, Jaime Ongpin, and others. I don't need to go. And they met. I told with General Ramos, who was my representative, I told General Ramos to inform them that there will be maximum tolerance, even if they have no permit for the demonstration. I don't think that demonstrations will help us in our present situation. It is my hope that they won't start any bloody incidents. We have told our people as well to stay out of the streets, our civilian KBL, to stay off the streets and not to provoke anything. Something which happened in the Batasan, and we would like to avoid that. I've also told the policemen who are going to try and prevent any confrontation to adopt the policy of maximum tolerance and to stay as far as possible from the demonstration. You know, demonstrations here for everybody is enthusiastic, especially on Sunday. It's a Sunday. We don't need to call a demonstration at all. There will always be about 100,000 people in the Rizal Park on a Sunday afternoon, especially with the music going on and the like. But that doesn't answer the question: who committed the violence, who committed the fraud, who committed the terrorism, who killed all our soldiers, who took over the precinct? What is the meaning of this picture of this nun tallying the votes in one precinct? And what is the meaning of all these pictures showing the nuns and the others carrying off ballot boxes? What is the meaning of the pictures of these people who are accused of carrying guns? One of them was a priest, and the others were seminarians. Why? What are these pictures showing? Them taking over a precinct, all of this. And also, of course, we have to listen to the opposition. They claim that they were also subjected to all kinds of coercion. Now, let's get the evidence. If that is so, I will prosecute any of the KBL men who did participate in any coercion. But the massive fraud and the massive coercion was performed by the opposition. One half of Eastern Samar, one half of the voters could not vote because of New People's Army Communist intervention. And I can mention any number, but I won't go into all these details. All I can tell you is, I think, in the performance of my duty of doing justice to every man, I must now insist that these matters be properly investigated and that the preliminary investigations go through, and then later on that the cases be filed in court, whether against the KBL, against the opposition, against the clergy, or anybody else who is guilty.
If I could ask one last thing, Mr. President. Now that you've been proclaimed by the Batasan, do you intend to serve your full 6-year term, or are there any circumstances under which you also might resign?
Resign? I can't see any reason to resign. First of all, I am convinced that if there was any fraud that may have been committed in the lower levels, these were not authorized by the upper leadership of the KBL, or whatever may be said. about this. And probably that may be also true with respect to the opposition party. But whatever it is, I don't see any reason for the resignation. That would be reneging on a duty that has been imposed upon me, or rather a duty that I sought and was given to me, and therefore it does not bespeak well of any man in public office to seek that public office and then resign.
Mr. Mike Hinovea of the Daily Express.
Mr. President, according to the election laws, you're supposed to take your oath within 10 days of your proclamation. May we know if you have set the date for this outtaking?
It doesn't say within, it says 10 days
10 days.
after the proclamation. And that probably means 1525. And we would probably have to take the oath publicly on that day.
Another question, sir. You said the members of the cabinet have tendered their resignation. May we know if you have set the time frame for the reorganization of the new cabinet?
Well, as fast as possible. Do you have any suggestions as to replacements?
No, sir.
I'm ready for suggestions. It's not easy to replace an entire cabinet.
What then would be your main criteria in the selection of the new cabinet, sir?
Well, I leave that open because there are too many things now that are going on, and we will have to tailor the cabinet to meet the requirements of our present situation.
Will their performance in the last election be taken as one of the factors?
Well, that's probably going to be taken into account, but more than that would be probably performance in meeting the problems that are facing us now. And that is why they are making a study on the problems that I say we are facing, which started way back. We had to keep current our indebtedness. We had to pay contracts that had not been paid, and the overruns required a new negotiation of many contracts that are where the contractor now requires or asks for additional funds to finish the project, and therefore we probably should tighten up on government expenditure, but at the same time continue the momentum of the growth of our economy. Of course, everybody should know by now that the moment you start cutting down on government expenses in order to keep the inflation rate down, you also cut economic activity. And this brings you perhaps to the negative side of growth. All this we have to now study with in more intensity than we had during the campaign.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Saif Maidans of New York Times.
Mr. President, could I ask you to tell us a little bit more about the resignation of General Ver? When does it take effect? And if General Ramos is still under investigation, then who is, for the moment, acting Chief of Staff?
Acting Chief of Staff would probably be General Ramos. But he has asked that his case be decided immediately. And I intend to do that as quickly as possible. In fact, I have asked for all the papers on this case, and I hope to read them after this interview.
Until that's resolved, then General Ver remains Chief of Staff, is that?
No, he has resigned, and I have accepted the resignation.
So there's a brief hiatus while General Ramos's situation is clarified.
Well, General Ramos is acting Chief of Staff.
And can you tell us a little bit more about General Ver's future role as an advisor to the military?
That is not a matter for discussion. That is something that is left to him, and he has offered to be a consultant. We don't know whether he will be a consultant or not. I am really surprised at your interest in General Ver. You have insisted that he be removed. I don't know if you ever did this with any other country in the world. And you never gave a reason why you are doing this to us. Why interest in General Ver, of all people? Nobody ever gave me a reason why General Ver is being pinpointed. I wonder if you can.
No, sir. I have another question for you.
Okay.
On another subject, the election which you called has resulted in a wave of support for Mrs. Aquino, your opponent, and many of her supporters now believe that she did win. I wonder if you don't feel that the election has resulted in a loss of a good portion of the popular mandate for you.
Our surveys do not say so. Our loss will indicate that he has lost 10% of our original support during the election. We will conduct a more survey in 2 weeks or so. I will let you know the result of the survey. But even her own people, her leaders and the others, come to ours and said, now that this is over, we're ready to cooperate with you.